passionate about Cleveland sports.
He's going in, touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond.
Swinging it line! To deep right!
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jarid Watson.
Hello and welcome, Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond. He's Andy Billman, I'm Jarid Watson, and we're going to start this thing off
Cleveland Browns.
Talking about something that has made me smile, has put a smile on my face in regard to the Cleveland Browns. One is that we haven't really heard a lot of drama coming out of Cleveland regarding the Browns this week. And two, it seems like John Dorsey has been given the keys to drive this sucker in regard to finding the next coach of your Cleveland Browns. Andy, this is kind of a surprise. It's almost like the Haslams have legitimately learned their lesson.
I think so. I think also it tells you how much John Dorsey's earned credibility in a short amount of time.
Yeah, there's that too.
I think it was good that this was. I don't know what the proper term is. I kind of agree with Grossi. It's kind of leaked. The only thing about the Browns that still bothers me, and I know Grossi. I'm still in Grossi's thunder here a little bit, but I thought he made a really great point. Like, how many times are the Browns going to keep leaking information and start making announcements, right, and being clairvoyant? I wish it was, but with that said, I think it's good that Dorsey is the guy to do this. I think it's Captain Obvious. I'm glad there's no search firm. So I'm not a big believer in search firms.
Right. So talk about that real quick, Andy. I mean, this is a process in the past that the Haslams have used where they're trying to be too smart, right? They're overthinking this process, correct?
Well, I almost think at times, this is a philosophy of mine. I just think search firms sometimes can be, obviously they can help, but I just think at times they show a lack of knowledge or a lack of confidence. I don't know you know what I mean?
Right. Like, and I feel like search firms are kind of over exaggerating their own confidence because you're paying them a lot of money. They have to act like they know it all. And,
that's right.
And it hasn't turned out that way, has it?
No, I know. No. I just think the whole coach it's Captain Obvious. It's going to be the big headline story really around these last 7 games. This is going to be who's the next head coach. It's funny. It's usually about the draft. It's for the first time now changing because of Mayfield, changing to who's the coach. And I think you're going to hear a lot about it, but to know that it's going to be running through Dorsey is important. What I also keep in mind for people, and as they should, there's no doubt the Haslams will be sitting in the room and also will be there and be around it. So for people who think it's just going to be Dorsey and maybe a couple of his advisors, and then, well, no, I mean, the Haslams are going to be around it. But I do think it's a good start to this, that at least Dorsey's going to be the one who's going to be reining it in. You're going to hear a lot of rumors this week. You're already hearing it. The hot guy this week's Bruce Arians, probably because of what he stated, I guess, during the Browns pregame show, and also that he did the Browns game for CBS television.
And Cleveland fans love anybody who wants to be here.
Well, he feels and looks like a Clevelander. We're all being honest. He fits the vibe. He definitely fits the vibe very well. I am not, here's the thing about the coaching search that I'm already getting bothered by. I am not a big believer in you have to have a certain checkbox system. Like you're hearing like everybody wants to be young and fancy and hip and cool and offensive. I'm just here to win games. I don't care if you're 80 in a rocking chair. If you're winning games, that's good. I don't care what you look like.
Which makes it so difficult for me to even evaluate who I would want. Andy, we're on the outside looking in, and everybody out there is basically doing the same thing, and they're going off of word of mouth or what somebody's saying or how somebody feels. But I mean, at the end of the day, when you hire someone, and I know when I work with someone, or if I'm looking to get someone to help me out with a job, that the only one who knows what I'm looking for or what's gonna work is me. And on top of that, even then, you don't really know how that's gonna play out until you start doing it. So,
right.
I mean, there are ways to make better choices and decisions than others, and we have made piss poor decisions for 20 years, Andy, 20 plus years.
Just a little.
We can go back even 90. We can go back further if we want. But
look, we can go all the way back to Paul Brown to that mistake. But here's the thing here's the thing that I just want to mention. That's why I kind of did that line. You're going to hear again. You're going to have a week where it's going to be Lincoln Riley. You'll have a week where it's going to be some other guy. And remember this too. 2 years ago, people were really ready to push out Sean Payton in New Orleans and Andy Reid in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. And look where they are now. Okay? When you're winning, you're looked at as a good, solid coach. And that's my point about all these different things. Like, you're hearing young coordinators and young hip guy. And by the way, I think you have to have that energy. But I don't care if the guy hires an older person who has youthful assistants around. That's fine with me. The big thing I just want to get out there is I don't have in my book someone like, hey, you have to check some boxes. I don't care. I don't care. And in fact, what is great about here's what the Browns walked into, which is unusual for the Browns. They're walking into a year where I think McCarthy and John Harbaugh are going to be available. And I think they might want to come to Cleveland. So you have Super Bowl type guys who won Super Bowl championships, or I don't think will be around at their current employer, on top of assistants in college. The Browns have a good melting pot selection, Jared, guess what I'm saying.
What is it? I want to jump to Harbaugh real quick. What is it that you think would make him want to come to Cleveland? And it's going to be kind of a sad exit for him, correct?
Well, I mean, look, let's talk. Okay, McCarthy and Harbaugh. We'll take Harbaugh first since you teed him up. Ozzie Newsome's gone at the end of the year.
Right.
He's going to be on the Ravens staff, but he's not going to be calling the shots anymore. The Ravens, this will be the 4th or 5th straight year they won't make the playoffs, I believe, with Harbaugh being the coach. And normally with things like that, they just equate to, we're not going to bring it back. A new GM, new coach, new everything.
Well, let me play devil's advocate. Why would anyone want to bring a coach over that has been in decline with the team that he's with?
Well, but again, half a decade. It reminds me of Andy Reid in Philadelphia. I always thought Andy Reid could really coach.
Just wasn't the right fit.
Just wasn't it. But even more so, it never.
Maybe that was Hugh's problem.
Well, right.
Just wasn't
Here's something. Here's what I will say too about coaches. 9 times out of 10, it never ends well. Even for the legendary coaches, it never ends well
because they don't know when to leave either. Yeah,
they don't know when to leave. The reason why I'm saying that is eventually, like Mike Scioscia, didn't end really good with him and the Angels.
Every year, I think it's going to end horribly for Mike Tomlin, and somehow they keep turning around.
They keep turning around too. I mean, my point is, with coaches that have long tenure or short tenure or whatever, 9 times out of 10, it's a firing, it's a push out, something like that happens. So, Andy Reid was a bumbling idiot when he left Philadelphia. Couldn't win the big games with Donovan McNabb. And by the way, was losing games to the Titans last year in a wild card game and really was getting hammered by the press. Jared, what do people think of Andy Reid this year?
That he's a genius.
That's my point, right? So it's like, look, John Harbaugh can coach. McCarthy can coach. Andy Reid can coach. So that's why these guys need to be taken in serious consideration. I don't think these guys need to be poo-pooed away. Bruce Arians as well. He can coach. But when you got a McCarthy and a Harbaugh possibly out as free agent coaches, the Browns would be silly to dismiss them.
Does the McCarthy thing start to gain steam just because of John Dorsey alone? Yeah, so I was going to bring him up second. I think if people are naive to think if McCarthy gets let go, the Browns aren't going to sniff McCarthy. Oh, come on. He worked with Wolf, he worked with Highsmith, and he certainly worked with Dorsey. He's going to be looked at seriously, and as he should. As he should. He's won a Super Bowl. I don't have an opinion yet, even with the list of names that we're throwing around right now. Mm-hmm. I honestly, I feel like the way I feel right now is how I want the Haslams to feel. I want them to sit back and acknowledge that they really don't know anything and just let John do it. That's how I feel. I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm not going to be upset with his choice, because you know that as we get closer to this, people's opinions are going to start to get stronger about who they want, who their guy is, and their justifications for it. But I just remind everyone that if your guy doesn't get picked up, if your guy isn't the one who the Browns get, there's no reason to throw a fit, because at the end of the day, none of us have a damn clue how this is going to even roll out.
We just don't know. And the thing is, the coaches, especially in the NFL level, really get scrutinized way too unfairly, and sometimes good and bad. And it's just as bad as a quarterback as with a head coach in the NFL. Now, that said, Hugh Jackson was terrible. We all know that, and that's why he's gone. Horrible. But in this case here, I think this is the best year the Browns could ever have a head coaching hire, because I just see a lot of possibilities out there. And you're going to have some names come up, like Tobe's been mentioned, not for Kansas City. There's a young offensive coordinator, Bieniemy, used to be a great running back for Colorado back in college. Also played in the pros. He's being mentioned as an up-and-coming big guy because the Chiefs are the hot team. You're going to hear a lot of that. I just think at the end of the day, I agree. I know what you're alluding to. Don't check boxes or take strikes because of age, or because of he's not a college coach, or he's not an offensive coordinator. All it matters is wins and losses. Because remember, for all that being said, and for all those gurus, the guy who's coaching over there in Foxborough, 2 hours north of me, is a defensive coordinator who's got a lot of championship rings. And people will take Belichick in a heartbeat, but he doesn't check any of those boxes. He's certainly not innovative. He's certainly not young, and he's defensive minded. So all that stuff people get way too, I like to say, almost like sheep-like thinking, way too cookie cutter sometimes in this league. So just taking it with a grain of salt. I think you made a good point. Like, don't get upset. Again, Arians is the hot coach this week. I guarantee you, I know it's coming. Lincoln Riley will pick up steam some week too. It'll be a different guy each week for a while, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Well, you got to write articles, right? You got to talk about something. You got to write articles.
You do. And Arians made a lot of comments, so it was worthy of being an article or two. The other big story was basically the ever-changing, which is not unusual for any team. The Browns are in the ever-changing roster. So Kirksey and Gaines are now out for the year. Wasn't surprised about Gaines at all. I mean, he did not look good with the towel on his head walking off the field. And when you get a second concussion like that so quickly, it never is a good thing.
And with Christian Kirksey putting in the work that he has, and constantly tackling. I mean, the guy he's got to be just beat up at this point.
Well, he did not walk off the field well either. But Kirksey, it is what it is. It's a shame he's out. I was not surprised about it. I knew Gaines would probably not play again this year once he walked off the field. So I thought he looked I just felt bad for the guy. Just didn't look good. You hate to see a guy like that who's playing hard and he's got a towel around his head because he's obviously suffering from concussion syndromes. That's so sad.
No, head injuries really bug me.
It is. Well, and again, not to go too far down that road, but I felt bad for Gaines and Kirksey. So they're out, but that is football. There's injuries that happen.
Yep.
So, okay, check those two boxes in. But this was the first week the Browns seemed to get players again, back-to-back weeks, but especially this week to me, an eye-opening. Schobert's back. I think that's a great thing. And
I mean, the defense at this point has been really torn apart over the past couple of weeks, and the injuries have shown. I mean, just the lack of depth that this team has. So, yeah, I mean, it would be great getting Schobert and Ward back is potentially game-changing because we know when Ward's on the field. And Schobert, both of them combined for turnovers. What are they? I'm wondering how many they have combined for forced turnovers.
No, Schobert's missing. Him not being on the field, I think, is shown too. And we've all, I mean, people that have heard this podcast, we both believe Denzel Ward is I think he's the best player in that field when he's out there and he's playing. And I think it's not even close and comparable. And that's with Schobert and Myles Garrett running around. But I really think Denzel Ward's on such a different level. So him being back, especially because Julio Jones is big. Randall also looks like he's going to be back.
Yep.
Some new guys. I was surprised it took this long, but Phillip Gaines and Whitehead, those are two guys who come from the Wolf and Dorsey families. those guys are cornerback. Cornerback is Philip Gaines, safety Jermaine Whitehead. They're both going to be playing, I think, at points on Sunday because of all the various injuries and stuff. So that's a good thing. So the defense basically gets a lot of players back. But the one thing I wanted to mention before we start getting into the meat of this game and the crux of it, I think it's been weird for the past 3 weeks. We're going to allude to it more. It's been such a wild turning event since the Carlos Hyde trade. I think it's really been whipped into like hyperdrive since that Friday afternoon trade. And really, this is the first time it's kind of slowed down. And Jared, I think because of what's been going on with Hugh and with Haley, I'm not saying he's been forgotten, but I thought Mayfield's been really put in the back pages in the storylines, which I think is interesting.
I think it's interesting, but I more so I like that.
I do too. No, I do too. That's going to change.
I think it helps him. I think it's good for him. I think he needs a breather. Mm-hmm. And I think he's getting it right now to refocus for the back end of this season, to work with Freddie Kitchens and continue to build on what looked to be an offense moving in the right direction. Literally on the field and figuratively, doing what they're supposed to do. Baker, I still think hopefully he'll feel, as much as he puts the pressure on his shoulders, hopefully this little break for him media wise and with all the noise, this calm for him will help him stay calm in the pocket. We saw it last week when he tries to force things a little bit too much at times. He overthrew a couple of receivers where you just saw the ball floating away and you knew that's him forcing it.
Right.
Maybe that changes now a little bit.
Well, I think the big thing I've noticed, you're not seeing as many drop passes. I do think part of that is because they're throwing the ball shorter, which I think that it's weird. The Browns go in extremes. I think they were doing a wild, elaborate offense, which I put on Haley at times, and it wasn't working. And then they've gone very conservative, which I get, but I think they've gone too conservative. I'd like to see a happy medium in this offense. But with the conservative passing, meaning there's not as many deep passes being thrown, you're not seeing as many drop passes. You're not seeing as many passes being put on the ground. I mean, the Browns
got guys that they can do that with too, and get big chunks of yardage. And you know what? Yeah. The good teams do that. Tom Brady does it. Runs an offense like that. Mm-hmm. Ben was doing it last night, although he could go. He's got AB. That was the whole other situation. But still, when you've got Collins, I mean. That's why I like the play calling with Duke Johnson and his sure hands. That's changing things for the drops as well. Is the guys that they're targeting more often has changed too.
Agreed. They do need to go downfield more. But yes, I thought they went too extreme, but I like it.
I like them going downfield, Andy, but I don't know that going downfield to Landry is the right move.
Or Callaway, because Callaway hasn't proven he can catch and really hasn't proven that he can take that position.
Njoku's been a better deep threat at this point in the past couple of games.
And that's not good. And that's not, because he's not a deep threat. But no, again, Mayfield, I'm not saying he's been out of the spotlight. I think it's funny. He's talked almost more times about everything else that's going around him except for him. I do think that's going to start changing. I think this is a great week for him. We kind of teed it up on Monday night, so the Falcons come in. This is not the strongest defense, 29th in points. They've had big weaknesses. You can score on this team. I mean, that's all. It's plain and simple. You can score on this team. And they throw the ball a lot, so it's usually long games. Falcons games don't go quick. Usually they're long 3.5 hour. It's usually 30 minutes plus on the back end.
That's all right, Brown. We've prepped for that with the Browns.
All right. So, the thing is that you kind of made a point of that I wanted to bring up too was, the Browns defense, which we've talked about, they've had a bad stretch of 4 games. They really have. I know they've had injuries, but everybody's got injuries. But I thought all 4 games, whether it's LA, Tampa, Pitt, or certainly last week with the Chiefs, and again, Pitt and the Chiefs and the Chargers are all good teams, but they didn't look good. I mean, Jared, they've been pushed around. They've been bullied a lot. I think this is a big week for the defense. We mentioned Schobert's back. Denzel Ward's going to be playing. Randall. Garrett. Let's get nasty. I mean, this is time to. I mean, I know it's another team with offense, but Jared, I don't want to see another 28-plus point game again.
No,
where I don't feel like the Browns defense. Like, if you give up 28 points and you're in the game and you feel like you're putting stops up, okay, but like, let's be fair. Pittsburgh and Kansas City specifically, really, 7 out of the 8 quarters, it felt like Kansas City and Pitt could do whatever they wanted to do. Whatever they wanted to do on offense. That's got to stop. Got to stop. And the Browns have had a hard – and by the way, the Chargers too.
I think getting these guys back this week will help, and then I think that taking a break for a week is going to help as well, and at least
I agree.
Get some of these guys some rest that they absolutely need.
No, agreed. I just think it's a big week, not only for Mayfield, but the defense. I think that, I'm not naive. The Falcons have a good offense, but come on. Show some guts, right? Let's do something.
Right.
The Browns have really had a gauntlet of a schedule lately, too, to be fair. So we'll see what happens when the Falcons come in. The other thing that I want to mention briefly, I think it's been you don't want to pick on a kid, but Desmond Harrison struggled this year. And it's good to see that Greg Robinson looks like now is going to be left tackle. And that is actually
what took so long to make that move.
Well, Robinson got hurt, and I know there were some other things. And I think the other thing, too, that really kind of played in there, which, again, Dorsey's done a good job. I wouldn't call it great, is, the Austin Korber pickup in the draft. It's great if he's good, but, like, you didn't need another guard. And you really needed a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's proven for this year. Again, those are moves for down the road. I really want to start winning. I won't stand on my soapbox on that. But my point is, like, that's another draft pick where it's like, I'm not saying it's a miss because Corbett could be a good player, but for this year, it hurts. It hurts. You don't have anybody ready to go back there except for Desmond Harrison, and that's not good. So having Greg Robinson in there is a huge help. Huge help. I'm not saying he's great, but boy, he's better than Harrison. Through one game, by the way, through one game.
Well, even that one game, I wasn't holding my breath as often every time that Baker dropped back. I mean,
No. So,
I could breathe a little bit. So could he.
Right. So the Falcons come in here with 3 straight wins in a row, Bucks, Giants, Skins. Again, pass-happy team. The other thing, too, has been really mentioned. A lot of people have been picking up about possibly how Matty Ice, Matt Ryan, might be up for the MVP again, which I think is too early to say something like that. But you've heard some of that talk this week on some publications and some talk waves. So the Falcons come in hot. They've won 3 in a row, and we all know what the Browns are at. So, you kind of alluded to it earlier. So let's go to the burning 4 questions here on a Friday. This has been the first week of semi-calm since the Carlos Hyde trade.
Mm-hmm.
We've really had 3 consecutive hectic buzzsawing weeks. I mean, now that I can step up, I'll kind of answer this first. It really was a hectic 21 days leading up into today. From Hyde getting traded Friday afternoon to today, it's been a wild ride for this organization in Berea.
Looking back on it, it looks very whirlwind-like.
Yeah.
A lot of highs and lows, a lot of you can't put the phone down, you can't turn away because something is going to happen, something is going to be said, or
on
you're
edge.
waiting. Yes.
On edge.
Yes. We're wondering because there's so much anxiety when you've got rookies being put up for Rookie of the Week every single week, sometimes multiple Cleveland Browns players. You're going to have a fan base that's going to be anxious. You're going to have, a front office that's anxious. You're going to have, and that's how it's been. Come on, we got to do this. Look, we've got guys. We got to build on this. We got to get the right coaches here. Are these players the right fit? There's a lot of that. And now this week, is it just that we feel, and especially with the news coming out about John Dorsey and not hiring the hiring firm and to help find the next coach, there's a calm there that I haven't felt in a while.
I was going to say, I think since Wednesday, after that news came out, Wednesday or Thursday, so I guess yesterday or the day before, it's finally, like, today's the first day, it's pretty normal. Like yesterday and today were pretty normal, and the Browns could use that. And they're not playing easy comp. Again, we named the teams. Aside from the Buccaneers, Chargers, Steelers, Chiefs, and you're dealing with all this stuff?
Yeah.
You really think about it, it's kind of amazing.
And they have put out a product on the field that I could at least watch.
Yes,
I'm not praising. I'm just saying they didn't come. I mean, meltdowns. Yeah, the mini meltdowns. We'll call them mini meltdowns. They've had a few.
Well, Jared, meltdowns.
All right, complete meltdown. But Andy, I've been able to. I haven't lost my mind though over this season.
Oh, I've lost my mind.
Have you really? I haven't. Now, if you want to talk about the Cavs, we can talk about losing minds. I'll get there. We'll get there later. If you want to talk about the Buckeyes, I've lost my mind. With the Browns, I knew what I was getting this year, and I've been pleasantly surprised with what I think could be the potential for the future.
Well, we have hope. We have hope. I won't jump off the ship like that. We have hope.
Right.
You kind of alluded to it. Question number 2. Do you think this is good? How much we're using Duke Johnson? I mean, we definitely need to get the ball more to Duke, but do you think it's good we're using him this much?
Absolutely. I've got him starting on 2 of my teams in Fantasy League, brother. I've been waiting a long time for this.
Here's the only thing I'm going to say about this. This is why I put this question in there. I like that Duke Johnson's in the offense. Just don't make him a mainstay. I'm telling you, that is not the way to run an offense. No,
but you know what he does? He protects. He gives Baker a little bit of protection.
I know.
Somewhere to get the ball to.
I'm not naive. I just don't want to see 10 catches.
Well,
I want to see 5 or 6. That's all I'm saying.
He might be closer to 10, though. I mean, that's.
I know. I'm just saying.
And part of that's because he's not dropping the ball, Andy.
No, he's not. He doesn't drop the ball.
You want more catches. You got to catch it.
I agree.
There's my thought of the day.
I know. Again, that's why it's a burning question. It's a good question, I think. What is your? We talked about this enough. So the third question is a vibe on the defense look. I just think this defense has had. Yes, they played some good teams aside from Tampa Bay, but even Tampa Bay, they didn't look that great. I would love to see the defense play better this week. It would be nice for them to show a little gumption going into the bye week. That's all I'm going to leave it at. I'm not saying you can't stop the Falcons as they're just too high offense, high octane, but slow it down. Let's keep it competitive. That's all I'm saying.
Well, what I'm hoping for, Andy, is that the defense, seeing that the offense has kind of stepped up their game after last week, getting some of these guys back, gives them the incentive to know that if they are forcing those turnovers, you've got an offense that isn't going to put you back on the field defensively after a 3 and out. At least not as often as they had been, wasted opportunities. So I'm hoping that that's what they use to build on in regard to this week defensively, knowing that if they'll get their breaks, and that should help. Hopefully they'll get their breaks.
Yes, agreed. It's way too early, but I'll ask. Do you have a head coach guess? And we won't hold us to this, but do you have a guess if you had one?
If McCarthy's available, McCarthy. Otherwise, I honestly don't know where to go. I can't see Dorsey not reaching back to Green Bay.
It's funny you said that. I was going to say McCarthy too. We'll play this game every week, but that's McCarthy.
That's just a guess and a half. But
cool, buddy. Yeah. As I said, the way too early to guess. That's why it's a fun question.
Yeah, we'll change it every week.
We'll change it every week. Maybe
or it'll stay the same.
I'll say this. Oh God, can you imagine? It's been McCarthy the whole time. All right, I think you could probably feel it if you're listening to this podcast. So I'll allude to it. We kind of talked about it Monday night. I don't hold on to your coffees. I actually think the Browns are going to win. I really do. I get a good vibe about this game. I think finally the burrito of water settling down on Wednesday is going to help out a lot. I know the Falcons are good. They're not as good, though, as the Chiefs and the Steelers. And I think that will be proven. I've watched the Falcons a lot. That defense, you can score upon them. And the thing that's going to really help out the Browns, they do not rely on the run as many as these other teams have. And let's be fair, the Browns' running offense is not great. I think that will help them out a lot. I think the Browns actually win this game 27-17. I think they win it comfortably. I just get the vibe this week that this is going to be the week they put it all together. And usually when the Falcons come into games like this, they usually fall flat in their face. I think it's going to happen here. I have loved it all week. Everybody's on the Falcons. I love the Matty Ice MVP talk. I love all this. And by the way, I think the record's 11-3. The Browns always beat the Falcons. Always beat the Falcons. So that's another reason why I'm going with it. I'm just going to go with the stats there. So I know. I just think there's a lot of good vibe going into this game. I think the Browns win.
Yeah,
I do.
I'm calling a little higher scoring here. 35-21 Browns win. I feel like this is the one game this season that's going to turn out like we would all hope for.
Yep.
I don't expect it to happen any other week this year.
Well,
maybe one more year.
Well,
maybe the Ravens game.
I mentioned it, and I'll mention it again. This is a fail-safe game, meaning if the Browns don't win this game, it's lean. It's real lean on trying to find wins. And there's only 6 games left, so it isn't like there's like a lot to choose from. But Bengals twice, Panthers on the road in Denver, at Baltimore, and Ozzy's last day. I don't know. So I just think it's one of those. It's a fail-safe game. I think the Browns could to stack some more wins. I think they need to get this game. I also
this is a building block for the rest of the season as well. Yeah. Absolutely, yes,
I do. I just get the vibe they're going to win. Hopefully, we're right. Around the NFL, I was looking at it this week. This is just a blah week of games. I mean, nothing really jumps out. All these bye weeks, I think this happens more and more. Saints and Bengals is a good game at 1 o'clock. I always love watching the Rams, but even so, the Seahawks and Rams play at 4:25. That's always a good rivalry game now. Cowboys Eagles. I'm so over the Cowboys on these big night games. I'm not fascinated by the Cowboys. I have never understood this.
No, I don't even care about the storyline. I don't care about the head coach issues. I don't care. I didn't care about the Des Bryant stuff when it was going on. I don't care about the Dak stuff. I don't care to hear Jerry Jones saying anything. Like, I just don't care.
I don't care. I'm not watching a second of that game. Won't watch.
It's not compelling. It's you know what it is. It's a rerun. No. It's a rerun.
Yes, and then for those of you who love football, Giants and 49ers would not be the game I advise to watch. That's going to be on Monday Night Football, and look, it's the Giants and Niners, so you got some cachet because of the coastal thing. I'll be honest with you, Jared. This is not a news story for this year. It's been going on for the last 4 or 5 years at the company I used to work for. Is Monday Night Football still relevant?
I
think it's almost gone.
What do you think's taking the relevance away? Do you think it has something to do with the Thursday night stuff and the Sunday night stuff? Do you think that it has to do with the way that they're picking the teams, that they're the matchups that they're highlighting?
Giants Niners is tough. I mean, Giants Niners this Monday night. That's going
into these seasons. How are they making these? I don't know how they're making these.
Well,
choices.
I mean, this year too, you got Jimmy Garoppolo and Eli Manning. That's not a bad game. I mean, no one knew it was going to be this bad. But my point is, I mean, I just don't. Boy, Giants Niners like that. That is such a bad matchup. It is such a bad match. I mean, it's just bad. I mean, unless you're a fan of the Giants and Niners, why are you watching that?
Oh, even fans of the Giants and Niners know it's awful.
It's awful. I mean, 3 wins combined on teams in Week 10. I mean, that's not good. So that's your NFL this week. I will say the NFL product this year has felt better than it did last year.
Mm-hmm.
I want to mention that and the ratings are up. So I mean, I think the product's much better.
I think the politics calming down might help that a little bit too, but at least in regard to not that we're going to go there here, but
just a tad. So last night I went 2-1 on my picks, 9-6-1 overall. This week of games, I also liked. I'll give you a one more maybe. I think there's actually some good games this week. Look, I'll double down on the Browns. I'm going to take them plus a 6. I gave you the reasons earlier. This line at the earlier of the week was 4, and now it's 6. I'll take the 6. I think the Browns will easily cover that, so I'll take the Browns in 6. The second game, I don't have, this has been the first year I'm like, I don't know how Vegas is doing this. And this is another one. I have no idea how the Bucs are a 3-point favorite home against the Skins. I just don't understand it. The Redskins are the much better team here. And the Bucs have had a weird week. I know their coach went on a crazy rant. I know the Skins lost and looked bad against the Falcons, but that is no reason why to make them a 3-point underdog. I'll take the Skins and the points on the road. That was a bizarro line to me. And the other one I was just mentioning, I think the beginning of the end is here for Jason Garrett. The Eagles at some point should put the pedal to the metal. They've really not had a blowout. I get the feeling this game's going to be your blowout in Philly. The Birds are giving up 7, but I think you take the 7. I think they'll win this game big. I just think the Cowboys are teetering on the edge of big blowouts. And we talked about it. I think the storylines for Dallas are boring.
I think I like all those picks. I think that the Vegas stuff is kind of it's almost compelling at this point. Vegas itself, and you can just jump back to last week and them losing their asses on a few games. The Pittsburgh game was one of them, wasn't it?
I mean, how do you keep the Steelers as a 3-point dog on the road against the Ravens? I know it's the Ravens, but.
There was, but you can see the difference in the teams and the trajectory for the season.
I thought that was an easy pick.
I mean, last night, I'll tell you right now, after watching last night's game, I don't care about the Chiefs and the Rams or the Patriots. I know that those have been the teams in the conversation. The Steelers have now inserted themselves, I think, solidly into having a good chance at getting to the Super Bowl. I hate saying it. Oh, it makes me want to go brush my teeth right now for those words coming out of my mouth.
And they're hot. I will say this.
Man, they look good.
Pittsburgh and Kansas City played in Pittsburgh earlier this year, and Kansas City kind of manhandled them.
Yeah, so, but you can't. That's earlier this year.
I know.
And this is the Steelers. This is what they do.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think you can add them to the list now. Those top 4, you can add the Steelers now as a 5th.
How about this? What did you think when who was it? Reed, the young man, in the secondary,
launched himself in the bend.
They took that hit in the bend. Yeah,
terrible.
Yeah,
should have been ejected.
Yeah,
gone.
What's it like? I wonder what it's like. I had to go.
I'm sure. I don't even know why that's being discussed.
Oh, I'm telling you why. No. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because. Where the hell was this weeks ago?
I know.
And that's all. And now I'm done. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, by the way, Cam Newton took another shot in this game too, and he didn't get flagged.
Did. Yeah, lowered helmet and everything. Yeah.
I'll tell you, the referee thing is going to be a big discussion. We should probably just do a separate podcast on it because
they have affected too many games and the outcomes of games this season. There's just been way too much talk of the Zebras.
Look, again, the Ben Roethlisberger hit, that's an automatic ejection. It's out.
Agreed.
But the Cam Newton thing, Baker Mayfield in Tampa, those are other ones. Like, I don't know if ejections, but penalty flag, something, and neither one were flagged. It's bizarre. I see it a lot now and again. The Cam Newton thing, I mean, I don't watch enough Panthers to know, but when I watch him play and he gets hit hard, I don't see a lot of flags come out. And I think there should be more.
There's some biases there. There's got to be something.
I think there's some – I just think people need to really watch out. And again, that doesn't take away from Reed. Because what Reed did was bad.
He knew it. He apologized as soon as he did it. He did launch himself. Yes, he did.
He launched himself. I mean, come on. I was surprised as Revere said after the game, and Reed said after the game he didn't think it was ejectionable. I'm sorry. That was ejectionable. I mean, you launched
the
yourself.
Slow motion of it when they slowed it down looked really awful, and you saw Ben wincing when he knocked his head off that turf.
He was trying to hurt Ben Roethlisberger with his head. There's no question. Well, I'm done praising the Steelers. As I do not like doing that.
This is the most we've ever talked about them on this damn podcast. I apologize. I hope that if some of you have fast forwarded through that part, you can stop now. We're done talking about them.
Yes, let's talk about college football and the I Am Book situation. I am not thrilled when I read in my news headlines yesterday that I Am Book's not playing against Florida State. I didn't even realize this. As an Irish fan, this is a red flag. I do not like this. I don't like how this whole story is being presented. I don't like the fact that Wittenbush is starting against, a Florida State team that's down. I don't like any of this. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think I Am Book being out is a huge deal, and for whatever reason, it's being poo-pooed. Like, hey, it's Florida State; they're not that good. If you saw Wimbush play, this is dangerous, dangerous game.
What's going on?
Saying a rib injury. I guess he sustained a rib injury against Northwestern, and now he's out for the game. I've been trying to find out more about this. It's been very secretive. about what's really going on here. But this is now something to watch because, yes, they should be Florida State with Winbush. I'm not naive. But, boy, I'll tell you what, if I were betting and I were neutral, I would take Florida State in 16 points. So I think this game will be under 10.
Oh, boy.
I do. I really do. And
multiple injuries to the midsection, and who is your backup quarterback?
Winbush. The guy who started off the year, but Winbush isn't that good.
Right.
I just think I just get bothered by things like this because I get the feeling there's more here than what we know. And that's why it bothers me. It bothers me as an Irish fan. I don't like it.
Well, it's just strange the way that's even being explained too. Multiple injuries to the midsection. There's no, why not just say broken rib or rib contusion or,
so secretive.
Punctured spleen, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, really. Let's say whatever it is. So the Irish,
an appendectomy. What is it?
Look, I thought this would be an easy preview, but I just thought that was just a strange. More to come. Again, I don't want to break down Florida State too much. If Florida State's not good, Notre Dame should win this game, even with Winbush. But I just get the vibe that game's going to get a little more hairy than what I was expecting. I was expecting a nice 10:30 nap after that, but now it looks like I have to watch the whole thing because I think Notre Dame and Florida State will come down in the end. And no Iron Book is a big story if that continues because they can't beat Syracuse without them. They need Iron Book in that game. Have to have him in that game. So. It's a story to watch. Like I said, I won't break down anything more. Dexter Williams needs to really step up.
Well, let me ask you this, and maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I'll ask it anyways. They lose one of these games because Iron Book isn't in. You don't think that the committee's gonna look at them? Really?
I think they're out. I think the Irish.
What a letdown that would be. There's another frustrating.
They
part
just
about how this works. I need an 18. I need an 18 playoff.
Well, here's the thing. For this year, because of Clemson and Alabama being undefeated right now, and because I know, the Irish beat Michigan, and Michigan's 4. So Notre Dame's got a great win in its hip pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the best win. But if I'm being fair, that's their win. And if they were to lose against Syracuse, I just think Oklahoma will get taken over them, which is a shame. I think Notre Dame has to keep winning games. I don't see a way in right now where they lose a game. I might feel differently in 2 weeks, but again, it's too early to start speculating on that. Let's see what happens this week.
Yeah.
This week, Georgia plays Auburn. Weird stuff can happen there. Oklahoma, I don't believe in Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma is so overhyped. They drive me crazy. I would love for Notre Dame to play Oklahoma. I think Notre Dame would win. I would love to play Oklahoma in a big spot.
Yeah.
I just don't believe. Do you believe in the Sooners? No. I just think that stuff's all bull with that team. All bull. I think they're all hype. Anyways, I don't want to get on my hate.
Well, I think a lot of these tems are hype. I think Notre Dame isn't hype. I think Michigan isn't hype. I think
Georgia's
Clemson and Bama. They're not. Was LSU hype now?
No, they
I know there was no.
The wrong team.
Yeah,
I think there's some, like you mentioned them. I will say these 5, along with LSU and a couple others, are really strong. It's a strong 5. We'll have to see what happens down the stretch. Again, Iron Book things big.
Ohio State football.
And then to your Buckeyes, they are still in it. I know people don't want to hear it, but they are. They're still in it. On fingernails. I'm not saying it's a lot, but they're on fingernails. They play Michigan State at noon. Again, another noon game kickoff on Fox, which is kind of it's cool in a ways. That's what it used to be, but it's so weird now.
I prefer the noon games.
Again, I'm not dissing it. I do too. So can Ohio State survive Sparty is a big question. And, I kind of talked about this all year. I've liked Haskins. I thought Haskins played poorly last week against Nebraska. I think this is a big start for him. A big start. And against
Andy, here's the thing. I think that, here's my thoughts. If they win, it's not going to be a flashy win. It's going to be them hanging by the skin of their teeth, just like they're hanging, in this conversation, for the end of the season by the skin of their teeth. I'm not buying them at all this year. I'm just not.
No, I don't blame. And by the way, neither is the committee because they're ranked 10th. That's a one-loss Ohio State team ranked 10th. That's pretty low.
But I've said it before too. I don't even know that they deserve to be in the top 10 at this point right now.
Oh, they're hanging
After
on.
last week, it just is not. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you're going up against.
It's a good road game. Look, Ohio State's going to go up if they win this game.
But
I don't think they can get in the playoffs right now. But Ohio State's in. Is my point, and I just think this is the. I thought last week was going to be the week, but we mentioned it here. They only lost 2, but they put the ball on the carpet 6 times. That's a lot. It's a lot of fumbles.
It's almost like Ohio State fans need to be put out of their misery.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. The only thing
accept it for what it is this year.
Well, here's the thing.
If Sparty just wins this game, then we can stop talking about it.
Well, and then it all goes to, and I want to allude to something, but I want to finish this up first. Sparty always has a limited offense, and I know that in notes. This is a game Ohio State should win. Okay, just seeing both these teams play, Ohio State should win this game, even on the road, even with everything that's going on. But I just think it's one of those games they can get themselves back in the picture a little. I mean, just a little bit with this win, because it's a good win on the road. The other thing too that we haven't talked about, but I think it's part of the reason, because the defense has not been as good. I mean, it's evident. You can go on any podcast, any show, any radio talk show, they'll say the same thing. Has it really been administered or really properly leveled how much that Bosa decision really hurt this team? So I think it's really hurt more than maybe we think it has.
I mean, let's talk about what we're losing when we lose Bosa and what that does on the field. You're losing an elite pass rusher.
Yep.
You're allowing these mediocre teams to run the ball better than they otherwise would be. Yep. And if you're running the ball better, you're going to be able to exploit an already weak secondary.
Yep.
The end. So, we could have hid one of those issues, maybe 2, if Bosa were still here. Well, we could have hid that secondary issue, hopefully enough, if Bosa was still here.
Right.
I think it's a big game changer. My thing with this was, Andy, I didn't realize how thin they were without him.
Well, that's my point. That's why I wanted to bring it up today. I don't think we realized until recently how much not having Bosa has hurt this team.
Yep.
I just don't think it's been pointed out enough. It's been bigger than what I thought it was going to be too. The other games that are really big out there: Mississippi State, Alabama at 3:30. I do think this is Alabama's too good, but if there's ever a trap game, I think this is the trap game.
Yep.
Because Mississippi State is good enough to beat them, but I mean, look, let's just be honest, they're in such a locomotive way. I just don't see Alabama losing it. But again, that's one to watch. It's a great rivalry game. It's Auburn and Georgia at 7:00 at ESPN.
Are the fans going to be there though? That's what I want to know.
We'll see. I bet you they will be. I think the Citadel next week, tough. A little tough in Tuscaloosa. Auburn and Georgia is a good rivalry game. They have actually been playing since 1892. It's a great game. There's a lot of heatedness. It's not that far of a trip from Auburn to Georgia. That will be a good game. Auburn's been playing better lately. They always seem to step up in those games and play well. Clemson and BC has been the highlighted game this week. I think College Game Day is going to be there. I think BC is so overrated. I think Clemson's going to blow them out. I'm surprised how many people are giving BC a chance in this game. I think Clemson's going to mow them off the ground.
Yeah.
Mow them.
No, I can't argue that. I mean,
mow them off.
Who are we talking about here, really?
Yeah. The other 2 things quickly. Michigan plays against Rutgers, which we all know what's going to happen there. But it's starting to get hyped here. Now, I'm in the Northeast, so I'm going to start hyping it to everyone. This is the reverse. This is like what it felt like when Cooper was coaching back in the 90s. That Ohio State-Michigan game for Harbaugh is going to be everything for him. It is you can already start feeling the momentum of this story.
If there's ever been a year.
Boy, Harbaugh, you better win that game. It's been.
You know what? I still though, as much as, and this is strange. This is a strange feeling that I'm acknowledging within myself right now. As down as I am on the Buckeyes, I think the Buckeyes win that game. I just do. Because that's what they do. They win that game. You know,
I'm just telling you, that is something to watch as a storyline, because Michigan, I agree with what people are saying. You can lose in the Final Four, you can lose in whatever. You cannot lose. I think it's doubled down, actually. You can't lose in Columbus.
Well, we might have a choice of two Harbaughs for the Browns at the end of this season.
And boy, you better, if you beat Ohio State, you better win that game against Northwestern. So it looks like it's going to be Northwestern championship game. There's a lot of pressure going to be on Harbaugh very quickly. Rutgers, hey, you'll win that game, whatever. But that game in Columbus, a lot of juice, especially if Ohio State wins this week.
And being at home hasn't necessarily been a deciding factor that hasn't that 12th man has not been there for the Buckeyes this year. It hasn't not made a difference in the way that they play.
Not in rivalry games. I don't think that stuff matters in rivalry games. I've learned that over the years. Basketball or football, by the way. I think in college sports, the home field one's a rivalry game. It's weird. I don't think it matters. I really, really, really does. But anyways, that's something else to watch. All right, quickly, as I can tell you, him and Han, I do want to hear this. Did the Buckeyes beat the Spartans?
Barely. Barely. Low scoring, 21-17, last-minute touchdown, Buckeyes win.
I'm going to ditto your things. I was going to say it's a very similar thing. And last thought, is there any chance any of the top 5 loses? I'll include Georgia in this. Any chance?
No, I don't think so. Not with these matchups.
No. The game to watch is Auburn, and then I think Notre Dame now, because of I'm telling you, that's a big story. I think it's being poo-pooed way too little. That story needs to be talked about more.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
And then we turn the page to our Cavs. And
hey, I'm proud of them.
Hey, we had a good loss. There's nothing finer on a...
Andy, I'd rather watch the guys that were on the floor in that Oklahoma City game than 40 minutes of Chetty Osman and what he brings to the table. I love you, Chetty. I'm sorry. It's just not a brand of basketball that I even care about.
Well, yeah, we've alluded. I've been pouring gasoline on that fire, too. I'm not Chetty Osman. I like Chetty Osman for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I don't like him
as
40.
a role. Yeah, as a small role player. Yes, absolutely.
Well, for how much in this podcast we saw the slow death of the Magic loss. Going from that to this. I mean, look, in that time period, too, Larry Drews and, we got to talk about this. How the Cavs talk. I have never seen a worse PR release than Larry Drew signing right before tip-off of the Orlando Magic game. I mean, were you not proud of this announcement?
We didn't even know that it happened, Andy, until what? A couple days later that we found an article?
So strange. I just I don't understand that, because that's burying the lead. I mean, that is what that term is meant for.
Well, and to be honest, I like what I see out of Larry Drew coaching these young kids too. I like
it's better.
him. He looks like he just looks like a determined man who's taking ownership of what he's doing, and that makes me happy.
It's better. I mean, the big thing on Wednesday was Colin Sexton. It was great seeing him play well. He played his best game of the year. Really played well, looked good. They lost by 9, but seeing something like that, it's a big positive. The other thing, too, that I kind of came away with this game is, like, you could tell the Cavs right now are such in a state of flux of trying to figure out what to do on offense, right? And you and I are kind of talking about this before we went on the air, but look, it's Captain Obvious. The Cavs offense is so behind the wheels right now that, in my belief, I actually think the Cavs are going to have to make threes to win games, because they don't have the ability to spread the floor yet or run an offense or really go through a process of getting points. So because of that, you have to go to some other ways of, spreading the floor. Since the Cavs don't really have those breakdown players really outside of Sexton at times. I saw Sexton breaking down kids. Outside of that, though, and again, he's not really a self-creator. You're going to need three-pointers to open gaps and get passing lanes. The Cavs aren't shooting the ball well from three-point range, and they're going to have to shoot in 40% range to get wins.
When the Cavs let the game get away from them against Oklahoma City, it was following a stretch where they tied it up and took the lead, I think, by 1. JR hit a 3. It looked solid. Clarkson was playing hard. And
Carson's playing really well.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, really well.
And then they got a little overzealous. Then they started getting a little cocky, and they shouldn't have. And they just started firing up threes. I think there were like 3 or 4 in a row that were just missed. And at that point, you're giving the ball back to Oklahoma City, and they're scoring every time, and they go on a run, and they ended up just running away with the game at that point. So
Schroeder killed the Cavs again. He is just, over the years, he's always played the Cavs tough. Even when he was with Atlanta, he is such a good player and always plays well against Cleveland. For whatever reason, he always plays well against Cleveland. The other things to kind of watch on, George Hill's out for 2 weeks with a shoulder sprain. The new guy in is Andrew Harrison. Let's just be frank. This is going to be a lot of this year. Andrew Harrison's, other guys are coming off the street. You're going to see a lot of this from the Cavs. When you lose, you're going to have a lot of guys like, remember him? Yep, he used to play for Kentucky. Andrew Harrison, he's on the Cavs for a little bit. You're going to see a lot of this at times. It's frustrating. I feel that frustration, but buyer beware of this team. I think that comes. They're going to try to find. They're basically trying to mine players that are low cost with high reward. So, you're going to see a lot of that here for the weeks to come. Chetty Osman looks like it's day-to-day with back spasms. Really hard to find stories sometimes on the Cavs injuries, but Chetty's definitely doing something with his back. The other thing that keep your eye on is J.R. Smith's playing a lot of minutes lately.
And that's got to have a lot to do with Larry Drew, correct?
I think that and the trade aspect.
I mean, really?
I think both.
I thought it was more of an empowering thing, but okay.
Both. I think it's both. I mean, the Cavs want – if you're going to trade someone like J.R. Smith, he's got to play. You can't hide him.
No, people need to know what they're buying product-wise. That's
right.
And
that's right. Got to put him out there. So I think you're going to see a lot of JR too. I think those are 2 things to keep your eye on is Chetty's back and JR. And I'm interested to see if they ever wind down Chetty's minutes because I don't want to dog him. So I think he can play in this league, but he's just playing way too many minutes right now and doesn't have a good role. I just don't know what Chetty Osman's role is on this team. Still this far down, it worked 11 games in. I like when someone goes, "What's Chetty Osman's strength?" I'd be like, well, it's hard.
Running around.
Yeah, I mean, he looks happy. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, and I'm not trying to pick on the guy, but it's like, doesn't really have a strength.
He's really glad to be out there. He seems like he's so grateful.
Happy dappy. So yeah, that's our Cavs report.
I do.
We do. We play the dreaded Bulls tomorrow night. You can tell. I'm starting to learn when your team's not good, they play a lot on Saturday nights. I guess they vary in those kind of time schedules. Yeah. So Saturday night against the Bulls, we'll see how they do there. But again, small improvements. I thought the big thing was the Sexton. It was so good to see him play well. Again, the Cavs are careening towards 6, 8, 10 wins. That's what we're looking at here. Now, nothing's really going to change. They got to shoot better to win, and I think the trades will start happening soon. But again, it was a better, from where we went on Monday to today, it was much better. Much better. I mean, and they lost by more, but that felt like a better defeat than the Magic. God, that was that Magic game.
No, I enjoyed watching the game. I enjoyed watching what they were doing, what they were trying, what they put on the court.
Much better.
Soon as I got out of class, that was it. I listened to that game the whole way home. I started watching it, and when they let it get away, I have to turn my head. I just
all right.
It's still difficult for me to go from feast to famine, but I'm taking my medicine. So
let's wrap everything up here on a Friday morning.
Cleveland Indians.
The Indians, I looked everywhere, Jared. I don't know if you saw anything. I've been listening, put my ear to the ground. Here's the thing about the Indians. You're going to hear rumors, but these are real rumors. I mean, nothing with like biting John Heyman or you're seeing something here quoting from Paul Hoynes. I mean, it's really the rumors of just it's weird. MLB's great to get some chatter going, but Kluber and Carrasco are definitely being discussed, but there's not a lot of like real things being seen right now about what's going to happen. But the Indians are definitely being rumored for I think nothing more than water cooler stuff. To be honest with you, I don't think he's anything serious.
We saw last night Lindor and Ramirez both got their Silver Slugger awards. There's a kid, what's his name? Bobby Bradley is an up and comer that in the Cleveland Indians organization. It looks like he's we love prospects, but whatever. He's 22 years old and he can hit the ball. Apparently, I mean that's the only stuff that I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, the Indians. My point being is you're going to hear a lot of stuff. I don't think any of it's substantial. Just take it as water cooler talk.
Yep,
that's all it is. Because you're going to hear a lot about Carrasco and Kluber, but again, I don't think there's anything linked to it yet. So the Indians, it's all quiet. Bill James, he made a crazy statement. It came out yesterday that he believes that.
Who is Bill James, Andy? Who the hell is this guy?
Well, he's Mr. Analytics. He's the guy that really puts a lot of numbers into the game of baseball. He's what you do like about the game, but guys like him are also the guys that can ruin the game. And I think what he said was very damning the other day. And in a series of tweets, he goes to explain, it's just distant. He goes, if all players were retired tomorrow, we would replace them. The game would go on, and in 3 years, it'd make no difference whatsoever. The players are not the game anymore than the beer vendors are. That is a silly, silly statement.
Well, it's a silly statement for somebody who wants to continue to be employed by, these teams or be hired by them as a consultant.
But I'm hoping baseball takes this as a tipping point moment. You're too analytical. Don't let this guy do this. Players do make the game. That's what makes the games interesting, not numbers and stats. That doesn't make these games interesting.
Players came out angry.
And they should.
Justin Verlander, wonder if the Red Sox win the World Series replacing with a replacement player for Mookie Betts, JD Martinez, David Price. Yeah, Torrey Hunter. I love any. I haven't heard from Torrey. Is this Torrey Hunter? I didn't know he spelled it Torii.
Double I in the end.
How did I not know that?
I know. Well,
I haven't heard from him in forever, but if I want to hear from him, I want to hear from him now. So smart that Bill James lost touch with reality. True ballers can't be replaced, but you can win.
But my point here, the bigger thing, this is where some people in baseball think the game is going. It's all numbers, and you can plug people in. You can't. There's human beings, there's human athletes that make this game interesting. Bill James needs to calm down and shut up. Stupid statement.
I mean, that's the way that I don't think there's anybody who feels otherwise. And if there is, they're just trying to be a contrarian.
Well, I thought what he said is what I saw as the baseball playoffs this year. And that's why the baseball playoffs were boring.
Boring as hell.
And I love baseball. But it's too much of this analytical crap. It's enough. Bill James needs to relax. That was a terrible statement by him. Terrible. I'm glad it came from the Red Sox, too, because I can't stand it.
Oh, yeah. They came out with their statement, basically letting everyone know that with arm's length.
That didn't go right.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. I mean, it's just amazing. And then finally, I didn't get to watch it as I was working late on Tuesday, but I'm going to sit down sometime this week.
You know damn well I didn't watch it.
Yes. Did you know college basketball was being played, Jared, until this podcast? Probably not. You probably thought they were playing in January.
Duke. That's my neighbor's dog's name. I don't know. It's the only Duke I know.
Zion Williamson is the next big thing, and obviously, let's just be fair, because we probably think the Cavs will be in the lottery.
I heard that I will say this, that because I hear these things. Who the hell crowned him as the next? Oh, wasn't it? It was Steve Kerr called him the next LeBron James. Am I making that up? Am I making that quote up? I apologize if I am.
There's a lot of hype in this kid. That's why I'm going to go back and watch the game, because there's a lot of hype going into this kid. There's a lot of help going. There's a lot of hype going into this kid.
Well,
it'll be interesting.
Maybe I will watch because I want to. I'll need to. Now I'm interested a little bit. just a little bit.
Again, there's a lot of hype about this kid. Quickly in college basketball, I just want everybody to know that we're all excited here in the Billman household that Purdue thumped Fairfield, and it was also good to see too that for those out there that Ohio State. I think I just love that coach. Even though the Buckeyes are not my team, they beat Cincinnati, and I think they're just a sneaky good team. I'm surprised by how people are not giving them enough praise, and they had a good win against Cincinnati on the road to start the year. So a good start for the Buckeyes too. So there you go. I think we wrapped up college basketball. Jared can now wake back up, and we can finish this podcast by saying, look, for all the things that have been going on for the Browns, I really do, and I know, Jared, I don't want to speak for you, but I think we're on the same path. This is a great opportunity this week to play a team that is a good team that's beatable at home. Let's see how they do. I would hate to do this podcast on Sunday night or Monday where, like, 44-10, oh, God, what happened? I'm just hoping that's not the case. So I do think there's a possibility that they can get this game. I really do.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. That's how I feel. And I've said it, getting some of these guys back, having Ward back on the field is huge, and Schobert on the field is huge. I think that's a bigger net gain than, including Demarius Randall and the other folks that are coming back. That's a bigger net gain than and I'm not dismissing their losses, but than losing Kirksey and Gaines. So I still think this is a stronger defense going into this weekend. We can't forget though that Falcons offense really, I mean, you've got Matty Ice is completing more than 70% of his passes right now. That offense can score. They don't defend the run all that great though, so that helps us too. I mean, it's a game that we can put, if we can put all four quarters together, we can walk out with a solid win, as opposed to a down to the wire win.
Here's the thing about the Falcons. They're playing better, but their last three wins are the Bucks, the Giants, and the Redskins on the road was a good win. But the Bucks and Giants, I don't know.
Well, I mean, and even I know that the Bucks. This is a different Browns team than the Browns team that played the Bucks. I think at this point, can we say that?
I just think this. The last 3 weeks have been so challenging. Is it really a surprise that the Browns went 0-3, and then if you want to lump in the Charger game 0-4, right? Is it really surprising the Browns went 0-3 in this last stretch?
Not really.
This is the first time it's a calm week, really, for the most part, for as calm as it could be in Cleveland. I mean, this is a nice week to really get a win. It just feels that way to me. At least it feels that way. I think they're going to win. I think they might even win this game easily.
I hope this ages well.
I hope so too. I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, on Monday, I'm not naive. We wake up here and it's like 34-24, another devastating loss. Like, I won't be surprised, but I just don't get the vibe this week that's going to happen. I think Baker is the guy, and I think there's, the Browns are due for a game to put something more together than what we've seen on defense. I know that, again, you can't stop the Falcons, but you can slow them down. And again, they're very one-dimensional, and that will help the Browns. It's a very, very good thing the Browns are playing the Falcons. It plays into their strengths on defense. It really does. They should win this game. And by the way, last thing, this has been the longest I could ever felt. That's like, we're finally at the bye week. I usually don't do this as a fan. Usually I'm like, oh, it's the bye week. This has been the longest stretch to a bye week I could ever remember as a Browns fan.
Yeah.
It has been a long stretch getting this bye week. Doesn't it feel that way?
I think we can all use the bye week, fans and players alike.
That's my point. It's like, God, it has been a long run.
And you know what? The schedule has been a big part of that. Not only the turmoil, but the teams and the competition that we have had to go up against.
Well, I read off. Here's your last four opponents: L.A. Chargers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, they're not good, but Chargers, Steelers, Chiefs. Ooh, oh man, that's tough.
All right, Andy. Let's hope for the win, and I'm sure we'll be texting and griping. Throughout the game.
The only thing I'm leaving on is I don't want to hear about Ian Book not playing against Syracuse. I don't want to hear it.
Hopefully he'll be back. Andy Billman.
Oh my gosh, I hope so.
He's Andy Billman. Do you want to say more?
Ian Book bothers me. We didn't talk about Josh Gordon today. I didn't bring it up.
Oh, thanks. We'll end on that. Josh Gordon, he's doing great with the Patriots. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. Thanks for putting that into my head. I thought that talking about the Steelers was enough today, but now we got the Josh Gordon talk too. Cleveland and beyond. See you again soon. Take care, guys.
Have a good weekend.
Hey, don't forget to follow Andy and Jarid Cleveland and Beyond on Facebook at facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond, and on Twitter at CLE and Beyond. That's at CLE and Beyond on Twitter. You can also shoot us an email, andyandjared@gmail.com. Looking forward to hearing your comments.